final version of the Mutewatch. The ones that are actually shipping out are a little more polished than this. The edging on this is a little rough, and the TPU isn't as resilient as the final version is going to be. But overall, this is a really almost spot-on indicator of what the watch is going to work like and how it looks. So basically, around the back, you've got your buckle right over here, and this can be adjusted along these little rivets on here. It's not going to fit like super large wrist though, which is something to note. Then over here, you've got the button snap to snap it shut, and then there is a fold back half-stack USB stick, and you use this to charge it. It takes about 2 hours to charge or to update the firmware if firmware updates are released for the software on this. So let's actually throw this on and show you sort of how it looks. Basically, it's intended to be worn under the wrist. So you can wear it like a normal watch, but as you can see, this would be the wrong orientation. It's doable, but it's definitely not ideal. So let's talk about what's going on here. There's basically a motion sensor in here, there's a vibrating motor, there's LEDs, and there is capacitive areas because this is a touch screen. So altogether what's going on in here is that, let's just go back to the clock real quick and I'll go over how this works. Basically, the motion sensor, if you flick your wrist, it brings up what's on the screen for a few seconds. The LEDs are to show you the time and what's going on. There's basically 9 capacitive areas in here, one for each half of the number, and then one on the bottom here to set it in a repeat mode, like if you want your alarm or your timer to repeat. Right here, this light in the middle is just showing me that I have an alarm or a timer set, and up here there's actually an ambient light sensor to adjust the intensity of the LEDs. We found that in really bright daylight, it's really hard to read the screen despite that, so it's something to be aware of. So the other thing here is that it vibrates to let you know what alarm is going on, and this is supposed to be a quick way to set silent vibrating alarms throughout the day. One thing about those alarms is that depending on how much movement's going on, whether you're in a sort of a resting state or like running, it'll make the alarm more or less intense. So if you're resting, it'll be less intense. If you're running, it'll be more intense. We didn't really notice a difference, but we'll say that this is definitely not good to use as a silent alarm if you're sleeping. It only vibrates for a minute at its most, and it's just not gonna, it didn't wake us up, and we're heavy sleepers, so if that's you, probably not something to expect this thing to do. So going along the interface, you basically can swipe back and forth through the menu. So to start, you have your clock, you can have up to 5 alarms, then you've got a section to set short or long vibrations, and then you've got a timer, which is basically a really quick alarm that goes up to 59 minutes, 59 seconds. So I'll basically show you an alarm here. So if I was going to set an alarm, I'd go to alarm and scroll over to the next new one, which should be alarm over here. And now I can tap, or I can just slide up and down at what time I want the alarm. And then I can also hit down here to have it be repeating every day that happens. So basically, right now, it'll vibrate, and now I know it's set. So do up to 5 of those, and let's show you how that actually works by going to the timer. So I'm going to set a timer here for just 3 seconds and let it go, and you'll see in 3 seconds it'll just vibrate. So now that's a short mode, just really quick. If you want to go to the longer mode, this is the interesting one. It lasts for up to a minute, so I'm going to set my timer over here for like 5 seconds. So now when this goes off, it's going to vibrate consistently for about a minute. And if I want to end that earlier, I just have to tap any of these 3 in order, and it'll turn it off. So that's the thing about sleeping. Your alarm clock will continuously go for a while. This is only go to up to a minute. So then it's done. That's pretty much how the watch works. It's really easy to use. Swiping back and forth feels really intuitive. It usually registers every input. Sometimes it doesn't, but about like 90% of the time it's pretty spot on. The last thing you can do here is if you want to sort of delete an alarm, you basically hold on to the edges, and then I think it's the clock, but if you hold on, if you hold on to an alarm and then bring it in, it deletes it. So it's simple as pinching inward to get anything you put on here deleted. It's pretty much the same thing for the current time that's set. I can just hold this down on the edges, and it's going to let me change the time now. One thing that is also worth noting here is you can only get 24-hour format. You're not going to be able to do 12-hour, 12 hours, so if you don't like military time, that's something to note. and we're told that that's not really going to be changed for the foreseeable future, so it's looking like it's going to be a 24-hour thing. So yeah, that is the Mutewatch, and hopefully you're enjoying the hands-on.